Hello. Hi. How are you doing today? How are we? I hope that everything is okay. Okay. Welcome back to African Xhosa ASMR. So, in today's video, we will be talking about African kings and queens all over the African continent. Do they still exist? Or perhaps they now have a different term to refer to kings and queens. What exactly is happening right now in the African continent when it comes to royalty? Okay, let me just fix my invisible crown. Okay, cool. So today we will delve into that. Without further ado, let's get started. I'm so zoomed in. I'm so zoomed in because I wanted the black background from the door. I didn't want the white part of the walls to actually show. So I'm very much zoomed in. Just trying something different, something new. And as you're listening to me talking, there are cars driving past and it feels like waves at the beach. So I hope you'll find that relaxing and super soothing. Now let's talk about royalty. Let's talk about monarchies. Let's talk about African kings. Shh. Feel the wave. Shh. Feel the wave. Feel it. We're talking about monarchies, royalty, African kings and queens. Okay, our source for today's video. We listen, we don't judge, okay? We just listen, we don't judge. I just wanted to disclaim that before I get to the source. And our source for today's video is going to be Wikipedia. Yeah, I know. Reason being is that most articles are not current. They just talk about past kings and queens. And I just wanted to keep you guys up to date in terms of that and what is currently happening right now. Because I did speak about historic kings and queens before. So yeah, enjoy Wikipedia. I'm sorry. Hopefully we'll find it relaxing. Masiqalise ke sithethe ngokumkani nokumkanikazi. A king ukumkani, a queen ukumkanikazi. And let's talk about it. The title of the Wikipedia article is Monarchies in Africa. And here it is. Uyayibona. Shh. I hope you saw it. So, it says, monarchy was the prevalent form of government in the history of Africa, where self-governing states, territories, or nations existed in which supreme power resided with an individual who was recognized as the head of state. Many such states still exist till this day. All are similar in that the sovereign inherits their office and typically keeps it until their death or until their abdication. Okay, so this is a map of Africa showing the continent's political systems. 3 monarchies in red and the republics in blue. Okay, now, however, only 3 are currently sovereign, while the remaining are subnational monarchies. Two, where was I? 2 of the former are constitutional monarchies. Those are the ones in Lesotho and Morocco, and then in which the sovereign is bound by law and customs in the exercise of his or her powers, and one is an absolute monarchy, which is Eswatini. Eswatini, in which the sovereign rules without bounds. The subnational monarchies are not sovereign and exist within larger political associations such as the Ashanti of Ghana, Bani of Nigeria, as well as the Xhosa and Zulus of South Africa. In addition to these, there are also dependencies of 2 European monarchies. Now, let's talk about the history. Due to the trans-Saharan trade, the early settlements of West Africa and the large nomadic communities in North Africa had the capacity to support formal establishments and form states. Increased trade along the Nile Valley facilitated similar developments in East Africa. In response to this, authoritative leaderships developed to facilitate stable growth and interactions. An example is the emergence of the Sabo civilization as early as the 6th century BCE between Bilma Oasis and Lake Chad. Other monarchies were established with foreign interventions. One such intervention was by Rome in North Africa. The Kingdom of Numidia, in what is present-day Algeria, came to be established around 200 BC with Massinissa as the first king. He was one of the many kings who headed large indigenous communities in the North African coastal belt that engaged in the trans-Saharan trade route for subsistence. With the tacit strategic support of Rome, Massinissa took control of all nomadic communities and was crowned king. Now, let's talk about the current monarchies. We will start with the state, the type, the succession, the title, the monarchy, and the reign. And then we also describe who was first in line. Now, let's start with the first state. The first state is the Kingdom of Morocco. The Kingdom of Morocco. This is a constitutional monarchy. And the title is King Mohammed. And King Mohammed reigned since 23rd of July 1999 till this day. The first person who was first in line was Maulay Hassan. Maulay Hassan. I'm so sorry about my pronunciation, you guys. And he was Crown Prince of Morocco, and that is the firstborn son who is first in line. Now, another state is the Kingdom of Eswatini. The Kingdom Eswatini is an absolute monarchy, and the dynasty is Dlamini, and the king, or the title, is King Ngwenyama. King Ngwenyama. And in terms of monarchy, we have Swati III, who reigned since the 25th of April in 1986. Who is first in line exactly? It says none. King cannot appoint his successor. And then after Eswatini, we have Kingdom of Lesotho. Kingdom of Lesotho is also a constitutional monarchy, just like Morocco. And in terms of succession, it is hereditary and elective. In terms of title, it is King Morena. And then the monarchy is Letsi the third. And the king has been reigning since the 7th of February in 1996. Who is next in line, you may wonder? The person who is next in line is Prince Lerotoli. Prince Lerotoli, who is the only son. So that is pretty much it. Now, let's talk about Lesotho a bit. Lesotho is engulfed in South Africa. It is a country that is landlocked, just in the middle of nowhere in South Africa. So we have a country within our own country, basically. And it is a constitutional elective monarchy. The current monarchy was established in 1824 when Moshoeshoe the First, a trade chieftain, united wearing trade into the Basotho Kingdom. After his death in 1870, the kingdom was placed under the nominal control of the neighboring British Cape Colony. But the native tribes engaged in the revolt, and the full British control was not established up until 1884 under the name Basutoland. While under British control, the monarchy continued under the title of Paramount Chief with a moderate degree of autonomy, particularly in the rural areas. Formal independence was granted in 1966 and the constitutional monarchy was established. However, democracy elected government was overthrown in 1970 by the Prime Minister in a self-coup. The monarchy was sidelined from then on, including a military government between 1986 and 1993, when democracy was restored. The current monarch is King Letsie III, ascended to the throne in 1996. Under the current constitution passed in 1993, the king is a constitutional monarchy and the head of the state, with power being exercised by the parliament. While in practice, the king is officially appointed by the College of Chiefs using traditional practices. The College of the Chiefs also appoints the regent if one is needed. The Prime Minister also has the power to declare the kingship vacant if the king either violates his oath of office or is deemed unfit to rule. Now, let's move on to Morocco. When it comes to Morocco, located in the northwest corner of Africa, was the long and established history dating back to antiquity. Originally Carthaginian, I'm so sorry for the pronunciation, the territory was controlled by the Roman Empire. The Vandals and the Byzantine Empire before falling under Arab control in the 7th century. During that time, the inhabitants of Morocco were known as Moors. And then in 1492, the Moroccan state underwent a long period of decline before falling under dual French and Spanish control in 1912. Independence was achieved in 1956, which Sultan Mohammed bin Yusuf taking the title of King Mohammed V. The present-day King Mohammed VI ascended to the throne in 1999. Under the current constitution passed in 2011, Morocco is constitutional monarchy, though the king maintains a fair amount of power. He is the chair of the Superior Council of the Ulema, charged with maintaining Moroccan Islam as well as Morocco's Supreme Court. The king is also an active member of the Cabinet of Morocco, having the power to dismiss ministers as well as set the government agenda. He also chairs the Security Council, which oversees military. Now, let's move on to Eswatini, Swaziland, formerly known as Swaziland, but now it is called Eswatini. When it comes to Swaziland, Eswatini is on the southern corner of Africa, originated like Lesotho as the Confederation of African Tribes. However, it predates Lesotho by approximately 55 years to the mid 18th century. During that time period, Chief Ngwane III of the Swazi people moved his tribe to their present location and united with other African tribes. And then beginning in the 1830s, British traders and the Boers, which are the Dutch settlers who colonized Africa, South Africa, interacted with Swazi tribe. Eventually, the illiterate Swazi unknowingly signed treaties which ceded their land to the Boer republics. The British assumed control of Swaziland. It was not up until 1967 that the Swazi regained control of their internal affairs, and independence was gained the following year. For most of the colonial period, the Swazi were ruled by Sobhuza II, who became king upon independence. In 1973, Sobhuza abolished the democratic constitution put in place at the time of independence and declared himself absolute ruler. Upon his death in 1982, Sobhuza had reigned for 82 years, the longest verified reign of any monarch. The present ruler is King Mswati III. He ascended to the throne in 1986. The new constitution established in 1998 allowed for some degree of democratic rule, but in presence, Eswatini remains an absolute monarchy, and the ability of citizens to participate in the political process is very much limited. Now, I think it is only fair for us to move on to subnational monarchies. Subnational monarchies. Do we have them? What are they? What's the story behind them? Let's talk about that. Anyway, now let's talk about them. It says, in addition to independent African monarchical states, a series of subnational polities exist as constituencies of a number of 52 remaining sovereign states of Africa. Traditional authority is vested in the monarchs of these constituencies by virtue of customary law as a general rule, although some of them also enjoy either a constitutional or a statutory recognition of their titles in the states that host them. Such figures as the Nigerian traditional rulers. My tongue is it just can't anymore. I think my English data bundles are getting depleted. I've been sharing for a very long time. I think my tongue's like, girl, go back to Xhosa, teenage, or go back to your language. Xhosa, you're being depleted. Now you're done with English. Anyway, but let's try to continue and see if maybe I have like some kilobytes, megabytes, whatever. Such figures as the Nigerian traditional rulers. Let me see if I can try to find a picture of not traditional, is it traditional? Of Nigerian rulers. Yeah, Nigerian traditional rulers. Niyazibona, nazoke. And then we also have Zulu King. Yambona, nankoke. As well as Xhosa's naba, niyababona nabo. Typify the class. Okay. Let's just talk about former monarchies. Okay, former monarchies, who were they? When it comes to former monarchies, we have Iron Age empires of North Africa. The Iron Age empires of North Africa. After that, we have ancient Egyptian civilization. Ancient Egyptian civilization. After that, we have the Islamic empires in North Africa. Islamic empires in North Africa. After that, we have the Ethiopian Empire. After that, we have empires of the traditional period of the 15th to 19th century. And they include the Islamic Sultanates of Sudan and the Great Somali Empire, which is called the Golden Empire. The Golden Empire. After that, we have kingdoms of West Africa succeeding the Sahelian kingdoms. After that, we have kingdoms of Central and Southern Africa, such as the Congo Kingdom and the Mutapa Empire. After that, we have the Merina Kingdom of Madagascar. After that, we have the Kingdom of Rwanda. It was abolished in 1961. I always love saying Rwanda, Rwanda, because you guys know I love my R's. After that, another one with an R is the Kingdom of Burundi. The Kingdom of Burundi was abolished in 1966. We have Ankole, which is in Uganda. Ankole, I'm sorry about pronunciation, you guys. Ankole in Uganda was abolished in 1967. Uganda. It was abolished in 1967. And then we have the Central Africa Empire. It was abolished in 1979. Central African Empire, rather. And then after that, we have the Congo Free State. The Congo Free State was abolished or annexed by Belgium in 1908. After that, we have the Kingdom of Egypt. The Kingdom of Egypt was abolished in 1953. After that, we have the Kingdom of Tunisia. Kingdom of Tunisia was abolished in 1957. Now, let's move in to different countries across the African continent. We have the Gambia. The Gambia, we had Governor General Se Feringmang, abolished in 1970. And then in Ghana, we have Governor General the Earl of Listowel, abolished in 1960. And then in Kenya, we have Governor General Malcolm MacDonald, abolished in 1967. In Malawi, we have Governor General Sir Glenn Jones, abolished in 1966. And then in Mauritius, we have Governor General Sir Ringato, abolished in 1992. In Nigeria, we have Governor General Azikiwe, abolished in 1963. For all of this, the head of state is Elizabeth II. And then after that, we have the Union of South Africa. The Governor General, Charles Roberts Swart, abolished in 1961. And then lastly, we have Uganda, Governor General Sir Walter, and abolished in 1963. Now that we're done with the history, let's just talk about the present day monarchism. Like, what is happening right now? So, many presidents in Africa have been characterized as presidential monarch, owing to their longevity. African presidents have used autocracy to perpetuate themselves in power, sometimes grooming a successor to preserve their regimes. Their leadership style was personalist, and they disregarded the separation of powers, facing little accountability. Constitutions generally had no constraining effect on leaders. Despite this, few leaders have taken up the title of monarch. By the turn of the 21st century, over 25 presidents had been in power for over 20 years, and Africa was home to 7 to 10 7 of the 10 longest serving presidents in the world. While Europeans claimed to have groomed their colonies to implement civilization through their Occidental identity. This was not the case, and their colonial projects for Africa was clearly to exploit the physical, human, and economic resources of Africa to benefit the colonizing nations, not to export civilization. With liberal democratic constitutions hastily introduced in the last decade of colonialism, the colonial governor-general was effectively an oppressive dictator and thus informed local nation leaders. Decolonization from around 1960 to 1980 saw colonial powers transfer autocratic states to first-generation African leaders. Okay. Let's talk about King Sobhuza II, who was the king of Swaziland from 1899 to 1982. Ndiyam-understanda ngokuzuma xa ibiza inamba zingazibizi right bayithini into. Ndiqhela ukuthi 19 ngoku xa ndisithi 18 ngathi andiqhelanga ukuthi 18. Yayiqonda loo nto. Okay. Sobhuza II. Sobhuza II, also known as Mona, was born on the 22nd of July in 1899. Or died, or either reigned from that year or died in this year, I don't know, they didn't specify, up until the 21st of August in 1982. He was the king of Swaziland, now referred to as Eswatini, for 82 years and 254 days, almost 83 years, the longest verifiable reign of any monarch recorded in history. And he was born on the 22nd of July in 1899, Eswatini, Zombonze, Eswatini. Then he died on the 21st of August in 1982, and he was 83 years old. He died in Mbambane, Eswatini. And then the wife, he had not 1, not 2, not 10, not 20, not 30, not 40, not 50, not even 60, but rather had 70 wives. Yeah, he had 70 wives, including Mfombi, Mfwala. I definitely butchered that. And then in terms of issue, how many children do you think he had? Because he had 70 wives. Not 10, not 20, not 30, not 40, not 50, not 60, not 70, 80, 90, 100. He had 210 children, including Swati III. In terms of house, he is from the house of Dlamini. The house of Dlamini. And then the father was Ngwane V. And then mother was Lomawa Ndwandwe. Mrs. Ndwandwe. Okay. Sobhuza was born on the 22nd of July at Zombonze royal residence, the son of Lomawa Ndwandwe and King Ngwane V. When he was only 4 months old, his father died suddenly while dancing Ingwala. He was dancing Ingwala and he suddenly passed away. Sobhuza was chosen king soon after that, and his grandmother Labotsibeni and his uncle Prince Malunge led the Swazi nation until his maturity in 1921. Sobhuza was acknowledged as the king by British in 1967, and Swaziland achieved independence in 1968. Okay, that was it for that. I think the other king we should talk about. Which other king? Oh, why did I click on it again? The other king we should talk about is the other king. Maybe I'll talk about it later. I think that we talked about the monarchies. We should talk about the sub monarchies. Just select one subnational monarchy, and obviously I should just talk about a South African based one. I will talk about King Goodwill Zwelithini, who was one of the most famous ones, and we lost him to COVID. Let's talk about him. Goodwill Zwelithini Kabeka Zulu was born on the 27th of July, or he reigned from the 27th of July in 1948 up until the 12th of March in 2021. He was the king of the Zulu nation from 1968 up until his death in 2021. Goodwill Zwelithini Kabeka Zulu. His predecessor was Beka Zulu Ka Solomon, and his successor is Misu Zulu. And he was born on the 27th of July in 1948, KwaNongoma in Natal nation of South Africa. And he passed away on the 12th of March in 2021. And at the time, he was 72 years of age. And he passed away in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal province of South Africa. In terms of wives, his wives include Sibongile Adlamini, Buhle Mamate, Princess Shiyiwe, and then that was the great wife. Princess Shiyiwe is the great wife. And then we have Thandekile Jane Ndlovu. And then we have Umelelo Mkhiza. And then we have Zola Mafu. And then in issue 29. And they are called Umdlokombane House, the House of Zulu. Father, King Beka Zulu Ka Solomoni. Mother is Queen Tomozile Kandwendwe. And then he became king on the death of his father, King Beka Zulu, in 1968, aged 20. Prince Mqwayizeni acted as the regent from 1968 to 1971, while the king took refuge in then Transkei province of South Africa for 3 years to avoid assassination. After his 21st birthday and his first marriage, Zwelithini was installed as the 8th monarch in the Zulus at the traditional ceremony at Nongoma on the 3rd of December in 1971. It was attended by over 20,000 people. Zwelithini passed away on the 12th of March in 2021. He was aged 72 after reportedly being admitted to hospital for diabetes-related illnesses. During preparations for his memorial, the king's traditional prime minister, Buthelezi, announced that he has died of COVID-19. Okay, that is pretty much it. Now, I think it's only fair for us to conclude today's video. But before I conclude, I obviously want to end things off with the word of the day. Where are we going to get the word of the day from today? Our word of the day for today's video is going to be in the book of Psalms, chapter 24, verse 10, and it reads, "Who is he, this King of glory, the Lord Almighty? He is the King of glory." Yeah, this word teaches us that Jesus is King. Hopefully you enjoyed watching today's video. I will catch you on the next one. But before I go, I just wanted to let you know that Jesus, He is King. He is King. Goodbye.